We are live. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. I think I'm going to call this Where to Wednesdays because we're just going around the world and finding out what real estate is like in different areas. Yeah, actually, it should have some fun things like that. So excited to introduce you to Danielle Tracy. He is going to be telling us all about his market today, who's moving there, price points, a lot of different things. And I'm really excited to learn. So Daniel, could you just share maybe the market area you work, a little bit about yourself, how fabulous you are?
Fabulous. I work Oregon and Washington, but I'm thinking I'm going to focus on Portland today. I live in Southeast Portland myself, and so it's the market I understand, and also it's also the market that I've been living in all my life. I'm native to the area. I moved away for about 8 years, came back. There's been a lot of changes to Portland for sure over the last 10 years or so. A lot of Californians moving here. That's what they say, at least. But there's about 10 states that are, like Texas being one of them, Colorado, New York, actually. A lot of transplants from New York, Washington, Idaho. But it seems like a lot of people are going to Idaho now too. So a lot of people moving from a lot of different areas, a lot of different types of people. Our diversity in Portland is so different than it was 10 to 15 years ago. A lot more African Americans. There was barely any African Americans here when I was growing up. And now we have a lot more African Americans, a lot more Asian Americans coming down from Washington. It's becoming more diverse. It's an awesome place to live. Portland's really, really cool. It's hip.
It's hip. So that's what I think of when I think of Portland. I think of like kind of like going to Williamsburg, right? Like I'm going to be in a t-shirt, a super cool hat. I'm probably going to have some like funky jeans, maybe with a splatter print on them. And I'm definitely going to recycle. That's my idea of Portland.
And there's going to be a bird on something. It has to be. You got to put a bird on. Yeah, you know about that, right? Put a bird on. Oh, yeah. It's Portlandia.
Oh, man. No, although I do feel as though I have to start watching that show for sure.
You see, that's the thing. I watched like one episode of it. And I was like, this is Portland, and I never watched it again because like I've lived it.
That's okay. That's how it was with that 70s show in me. I was like, oh, Wisconsin. Yes,
everybody. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah.
Lived it.
So, do you feel like people move to the Portland area for the lifestyle, or are there a lot of businesses that are opening there? Why are people moving there?
Nike has a lot of transplants. There's Intel, of course. Mainly, I think it is lifestyle, though. Honestly, there's not a huge film scene up here. There is a lot of artists, though. So you'll see people move here, and film people move here too, or to be alive. So they didn't, but mainly, to get away from the rat race of LA or Atlanta or New York. But a lot of times they move here for a little while and get back out to go to better areas for film. But as far as lifestyle, yeah, it's definitely a lifestyle. I think, and for what I've seen over the last 10 years, it's been lifestyle. I've definitely helped a lot of people that have moved here because of Nike. Find their new house and all that, but again and again and again and again, it's a lifestyle for sure. It's that kind of city.
So what is that lifestyle? Like, walk me through that lifestyle.
Well, if you like PBR, and
that could be a Milwaukee thing too.
It's mainly, like I said, it's artists, it's free thinkers, and there's a lot of LGBTQ communities here. In fact, there's communal living spaces, companies that buy houses, 8 rooms or more, and then you also have a communal LGBTQ plus living space. And so there's a lot of that going on. Like I said, a lot of art. There's investors that buy buildings just to make sure that artists have a place to work here. There's a lot of that going on. And so when I say hip, I mean, sure, it's hip in other ways, but it's definitely forward thinking in the artists. There's a lot of artists here. There's marketing companies as well. But mainly, man, it's people just doing their own thing. it's kind of cool.
So it's almost like people are moving there for more of like freedom.
Yeah. Freedom, freedom, the way they want it, like it's a choice. It's definitely a lifestyle choice, definitely. And it became a little bit more expensive. There was definitely a bump in about the last 5 to 7 years where rent increased just dramatically. It used to be really cheap here to live. And then I think we got converged on because we were like the last vestige in the West. We got converged on by Seattle and California. There was a lot of properties for cheap up here, and they moved up. And it's beautiful up here. It's gorgeous. It's gray a little bit of the time, but you need the gray and you need the rain to get the green. It's nice. But yeah, I mean, as far as people moving here and the reasons they do, I think that's what I see. I just see a lot.
Well, that makes sense. Well, and okay, so then if a lot of people are moving to Portland for a lifestyle, is there like a hub inner city that's more expensive and then it gets less expensive as you move out? Or is it almost the opposite if people want more freedom, more space?
Well, if you're living in Southwest, mainly those are the people that work at Intel. They're living in Southwest Portland. They're working at Intel. They're working at Nike. That's the suburban area of the city. And then you got Hillsborough and the outlying cities. If you want to have like one of the artists, hip little place, have a little cottage kind of situation, Southeast Portland, where I live, and St. John's is really cool and up and coming. I love that part of town. That was my first house I ever bought was in St. John's. It's just awesome community. It used to be its own city, and it got kind of eaten up by Portland, but it still has that community feel. You still have the community of St. John's. And so you'll see live shows and all that up there all the time, more art for sure. But, as I was saying before, the housing prices have went up, rents has went up. And so people are coming up with new ways to make money while still being artists, which I'm sure you see in New York a lot, honestly, because it's expensive in New York. But
yeah, actually,
we're nothing like you.
We're seeing a lot of the buildings getting rid of artists in residency. So I think we're kind of the opposite, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, Brooklyn's a cool place now. Like I don't know. I've been to New York once, but I loved Brooklyn. It was one of my favorite places for sure. It's so cool. Pizza.
Yeah. Well, you have a beard. You'd fit in.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Food too. You'll see. When you think of artists, I mean, yeah, there's film, there's graphic arts, there's all that, design and everything else, but theater, but food is one of the things you see in St. John's, you'll see in Southeast, where you got a lot of food. There's a lot of food carts, a lot of really cool ideas for restaurants and all that coming out of those areas, right? And St. John's is North Portland, by the way, is what it is, North Portland now. But those areas, you see a lot more of that, whereas like I said, near Nike, near suburbia, you won't have as much of that. It's mostly commercialized. It's still nice out there. It is. There's nothing wrong with that area. It's just, once again, lifestyle, right? The people moving here for Nike and moving here for Intel are moving for that lifestyle. The people moving here to be in the arts and be around their community, they're moving to those areas. And it seems like Northeast is kind of up and coming in its own way too. It's been industrial for years, but they're starting to build and doing new things over there, which is interesting too.
What is like the percentage of homeowners versus renters?
I think it's right now, I think it's like 60-40. It's vast difference. 60 owners. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's there's a lot of renters, honestly.
Yeah.
But that's mainly in these areas that I live, I should say. When I speak to Portland, I speak to Southeast, right? So you're going to see a 60-40 split out here. You still have families living out here, right? And all that, but a lot of them don't own. If you go over to the west side, they're almost all owners.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm sorry, the west side is less artsy. That's more of the industrial area?
No, it's not industrial, but it's more suburban. You got the bigger companies over there like Nike and Intel, and it's super suburbanite. or out here, you got the foodies, you got the art, you got the graffiti, and well, I shouldn't call it street. Well, it is graffiti, yeah. It's a sweet street art, is what it is, And you
Is
got all the
Banksy out
coffee
there
shops,
yet?
huh?
Is Banksy out there yet?
Oh, I wish. I haven't seen anything.
I'm kind of
Yeah,
loving it.
yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's
So
cool.
what
You
are
gotta.
yeah.
Oh, go for it.
I was gonna say, so what are like some of the price points that we're seeing in these different areas and like sizes of homes typically? Like are some areas,
Typically,
yeah.
typically you're gonna see like an average of like not much, honestly, like 320 to 305 is the average sales price in Southeast Portland.
Okay. And
Okay.
and what kind of square footage is that gonna get?
I think they both, no, about 1,500 is for that's kind of square footage. That's when you're looking at like, yeah, you're looking at smaller houses too out here. And so like a 1,700 square foot house or 2,000 square foot house in this area, it's kind of big. You get a lot more cottages, a lot more just like living space where people pretty it up and then they're out doing their own thing during the day. And it's part of the lifestyle for sure, the biking and everything else, because that's a huge part of our lifestyle in Portland is biking. Really, yeah.
I can
You're
see that.
you're
What
out and
about
about.
skateboarding?
Huh?
Skateboarding? Is that
Skateboarding? Yeah.
mandatory?
Yeah. Skate parks all over the place. Yeah, totally.
I love it.
You don't see out in this area, you won't see, $1 million homes. If you go south to like Lake Oswego, Westland, you're gonna see more of that. That's where the more affluent areas are.
And how far is that if you were gonna drive?
Not far.
Okay.
15 minutes. I mean, for where I'm at, I'm right next to the freeway. I can just hop, boom. But you're in Southeast in general. I mean, yeah, it's not far. It really isn't. It's 15 to 20 minutes driving like a speed demon. But that's where you see a lot of the $1 million houses. Like right now, if you're selling a house in Southeast for about, you list it for like 800, you're gonna sell it overpriced. Usually, I think it sells at 104% over listing price usually for those houses. Most houses right now in the area, which is funny, because most houses in the area of Southeast right now are selling under listing price. And we're definitely in a shifting it's shifting to a buyer's market, I think. But who knows? With the current stuff that's going on right now, we might see another shift. But it was shifting before COVID hit and everything else hit into a buyer's market. It was in a shift. So it's interesting. We're going to see. I mean, I think, and this is just personal, I don't know, but I think people have been in their cages, and they've been either fixing up their cages or they're ready to get a new cage. So there was something I saw, and I didn't look into it. I don't even know if it's true, so don't quote me, but it's hearsay mostly. But there was a poll done and said that 50% of Americans are looking to sell their home. And I was like, that's a lot. I don't know, but I believe there's a good amount. I believe there's a good amount. So I know I've made changes.
Right.
We've made changes to our yard, everything, and it was so funny. Like the first 2 months of COVID, you just saw everyone working on their houses. Like the longest lines for Home Depot.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, it's good. It's nice, actually.
Yeah. So, do you have a lot of like commuters that are maybe living in the outskirts that commute downtown?
Not as much. That's a lie. Yes, absolutely. Not in car though. There's a lot of bikers once again. There's a lot of, once again, I'm lying to you repeatedly. There's a lot of people that drive cars, right? In Southeast, there's a lot more bikers though. And West, they're all commuters. They are. The traffic has gotten terrible over the last 10 years. It used to be just like chill, but I think it's going to change too, honestly. There's going to be a lot of telecommuters after this, which I think everyone's okay with. But no, you got a lot more people riding bikes out here to commute, which is kind of cool. It's eco-conscious for sure. Like you said, you got to recycle. You have to recycle.
Yeah, I feel like I'd have to recycle if I moved there. I think I would also have to have compost.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Got it. I have chickens because I can.
I mean, fresh eggs, nothing beats fresh eggs.
It's actually the best. It's the best. Avocado
Yeah.
toast. I can make it at home and not pay $8 for it. Thank you. I will.
There you go. Man, Portland.
It's probably like
I love
$15
this.
for avocado toast.
Probably. It depends. It depends on which place I'm going to. Yes, it could be. I love it. Okay, so what is the process there? Because I know you and I have spoken a bit about real estate, and here our process to buy, go into contract, close, etc. It's like a 3-month, maybe 4-month process versus, and we have 2 attorneys. I know. So
Yeah.
what is the process like there? And like what
Like,
even about like down payment?
if it's smooth, I work with a lot of builders, but I also sell, houses, the existing houses as well, which is an interesting factoid on that too coming up. But a month should be the amount of time that you takes to say should be, right? We know real estate. About 30 days to close. That's pretty normal. Contingency offers are still being taken out here. That's not off the table, but as usual, they're contingency offers, so they usually don't get the first choice. We use escrow. That's what we do. We don't have lawyers. I thought it was very interesting whenever you told me that you guys use lawyers. I was like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah, 2 lawyers. Buyer has an attorney and the seller has an attorney.
So crazy to me. But hey, that's what it is. Yeah, it's 30 days. It's a 10-day inspection period, usually, unless you want to like sweeten the deal, make a 7-day or whatever. You can extend that or whatnot if you need to. But usually people just get it done. We put it in the offer. They either accept highest and best like immediately, or they'll wait like a couple of days and say, hey, we're going to check out all the offers. I feel like it's so redundant because it feels like you probably know all this, but I guess we're so different too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, keep going.
Yeah. So sometimes I'll wait and, they'll review all the offers and they'll take an offer. Once the offer is taken, it's immediate. You call your inspector. You have 10 days to get the report and everything in and have everything agreed upon to who's going to fix what and so on and so forth. After that, usually the appraisal happens after that. And then if everything goes smoothly, you got to close sale in 30 days. That amazing. It's 4 months over there. It's 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and also here we have, I think, higher down payments usually when you're financing. Do you know, like when someone's financing, do they usually have to put down 10, 20, 25%?
Oh, I mean, you can do a 5 to 20% conventional any day of the week. That's pretty normal. In fact, earnest money is usually a little bit under 1% on a contract. It's not bad. So you're buying a $350,000 house. You can say $3,000 earnest money. It's no big deal. But in the end, yeah, a regular conventional will be 20%, right? But it's not all for people to go 5, 15. It's not huge, which is nice. It makes it home ownership a little bit more attractive and feasible out here. Because I know, prices have went up and all that, but I don't personally think it's terribly hard to get a house out here if you've planned ahead. And it's me saying it. It doesn't speak for everyone, that's for sure, right?
Yeah. Okay. And are a lot of these, I mean, obviously I live in a vertical world of condos and co-ops, so it's mostly single family homes there. Are they mostly 1 story, 2 stories? Are basements a thing there?
Yeah. Daylight basements exist here. Not too much. It's just per house, right? It's not like a thing here, but they definitely exist here. You'll have 2-story houses a lot of the times. The 1-story houses seem to keep their value, and they said their resale value is much better out here. So I try to lead my customers to 1-story houses. Honestly, it's better for them in the long run. As far as overall, 2-story houses are the thing, right? There's not a lot of tract housing or anything like that. Townhomes aren't a thing in this area. If you get further out, you'll see more townhomes out to the west, right? You'll see townhomes actually in Lake Oswego. So people that want to live in Lake Oswego can still afford it by getting a townhome down there. And condominiums are basically downtown area. There is some condominiums in Southeast, much more affordable. The HOAs are astounding. They cost so much a month. But I mean,
what does that cost? I'm so curious.
The HOAs, okay, so in Southeast HOAs are like 300, but you get downtown HOAs, it's a month. HOAs are like 800 a month downtown.
Yeah.
And it's not that you have a pool or anything, it's just that you live downtown, so you're paying for it. That's your HOA. Yeah, sure, your electricity is covered. Huh?
No, I'm so sorry. Please continue.
Oh, yeah. Your electricity is covered. You got certain things covered in the HOA, but mainly, I tell people don't get them. But that's also a lifestyle choice too. So it's like, I wouldn't, but you're the boss kind of situation, when people want to buy them. But trying to sell them is also much more difficult because the HOAs that come along with it too. So if you're listing one, it's expected to stay on the market for a little while.
So, that's actually really interesting. So here we obviously have monthly fees as well.
Yeah.
And so, but I think there is a certain mentality around that convenience of, I have a doorman, I have a super that will come fix things, I have a package room so I never lose a package, right? And a fair amount of people do have townhomes, and that is kind of that mentality here of, great, I'm just paying the taxes, I'm not paying those monthly fees. But it's so funny because the condos move at a much faster pace than the townhomes do here, because I think that's just the New York mentality, versus there it sounds like the condos where you have to pay the fees for people to take care of things is just not your mentality, or not you, but the mentality of Portland. So I'm surprised they're just harder to sell. It's interesting.
Yeah, you're right though. People like to garden here. They like to be out in their yards. They like to do housework. That's just a thing. You get a little tiny house and you fix it up and you stay in it forever, or you sell it. There's a lot of investors here because of that, right? Because there's a lot of movement here, or at least there was. Housing, the existing housing sales, they fell 9.7% in May.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we're expecting a rebound, like a big rebound, because there's going to be more listed houses, we're thinking. But yeah, they fell hard in May. So that was a really interesting turnabout, because it was funny because in March, my team sold 20 houses in March. So we were just killing it, right? And then come around, just keep going, and then 9.7, that drop, like, that's once again, I think the cage thing, my cage theory, I think people are going to be like, and just jump out. They're going to want to get out of their cages, because now, they're not locking it down yet, but the cases have went up again with the COVID and all that. So I'm wondering if they're going to do another shutdown, kind of situation. They're having everyone wear masks. I don't know what's going to happen yet. Yeah. I did expect a more manic awakening of the city, but because of the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, I went out to a couple of restaurants and there's like 3 people in the entire place.
Really?
So I own it. It's the weirdest thing. Serve me. Right? But yeah, it's the weirdest thing. People aren't going out still, which isn't weird. I get it, but it's so empty out there still. Empty in the streets of Portland.
Yeah. That's so interesting. By the way, I do want to say, guys, I am looking at my phone in case you guys have questions. I see a bunch of people watching, so thank you for tuning in. But I will ask them if I see them pop up. Okay, so now I'm like fascinated about this whole idea of the difference in lifestyle of the like condos. So what is an average days on market for the condos versus, a 2-story where you're at?
I don't have a factual number behind that, but I can give you like a guesstimation. I really have seen them on market for like 60 or so days. But of course, with COVID, there was a lot of things on market, like nice houses, really good houses that were on market for a while. But there's a lot of them still selling in a day, But condos in particular, they do sit on market. They sit on market for probably around 2 months or so before there's an offer that's sweet enough to be taken, or an offer at all. It's not at all.
Yeah.
2 to 3 months is pretty common.
So that's 2 to 3 months. What would it be like for a 2-family house where you're at, or a 2-story house? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Like I said, a lot of those. If they're in good condition, like let's say like someone got a house and they took care of it. It's not necessarily a flip. Flips are going quick too. They're selling like 3-4 days still. They're flying off the market. But if it's a house that needs a little bit of work, it'll sit on the market for about 30 days or so. It's not odd.
Okay.
No.
So it's almost twice as long to sell a condo than it is a single family.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because it's, yeah, once again, it's not I mean, that is a certain type of lifestyle. If you have the money to be paying $600 to $800 a month in HOA fees and not see that money ever come back to you, then sure, go live that lifestyle downtown. You know, that's your thing, you know, and it's a cool little area downtown. It is. It's a different vibe altogether. You know, over here you got the food carts, but over there they got the swanky little spots, and they got lots of food carts and lots of culture in downtown. It's cool. And you speaking of diversity again, you have a lot of diversity downtown as well. You know, so it's I don't know. I don't know if I'd ever do it, just because they would never turn a profit. I swear.
Well, you definitely wouldn't be able to have chickens.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you can never have a chicken. You can't have a rooster in Portland city limits, but we think we have one.
Really?
We think we do. We bought a bunch of little baby chickens, and one of them's like "Wah-wah!" every morning. Like either it's like early onset senility, or it's or it's a rooster. I'm thinking it's a rooster. It's not young enough to be senile.
I don't know. COVID does crazy things to people.
The COVID chickens.
Do you have a lot of like two families, so people that are buying and then, having someone else pay their mortgage? Do you see that a lot?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Do you have a lot of two families? So like someone could live in it and then have, someone pay their mortgage?
Yeah, that happens here and there. That actually happened for a condominium recently, where the mother was living down in California, and she was the one paying for it. So it's not odd at all for that.
Oh, or sorry, let me explain this better. Or maybe they're called a duplex there. So there's like two separate homes within a house. Is that a duplex? Is that what you guys call it?
Duplex. Yeah.
Okay.
Two families. This is interesting because it's also different. Yeah. Not a great amount. I think you see more duplexes when you get out into the country cities, right? Not in the country, but country towns like up in Longview and stuff like that. Down near Salem, you have more duplexes. There's duplexes over here though, for sure. In Gresham, which is, I'm in Southeast, you just go east a little bit, it's the next city over, you'll see a lot of fourplexes and duplexes over there. But not so much in Portland city limits.
Okay.
Getting outside of Portland a little bit. So there's the investors oftentimes, or they're investing in areas outside of Portland if they're going to be doing duplex, right? But if they're doing house flips, come on over to St. John's, come on over to Southeast, like, because we're up and coming. Lentz is one of the fastest growing boroughs in America. That was a couple of years ago when I read that. So that's still pretty cool. That's the area I live, and I've seen it been growing. It's pretty cool.
How many Starbucks do you have?
Close to 100,000, I think. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's mom and pop coffee shops that are way better. It doesn't matter. They're still going to be on every street corner and every Fred Meyer's, and like they're going to be there. They're going to be in every Safeway.
Fred Meyer's?
Oh yeah, Kroger's, Fred Meyer's, same thing.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. We have Kroger's in Wisconsin.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, they're everywhere. I think that's hilarious. You asked about that. No, but
I'm like, wait, what? Yeah.
There's such good coffee though in Portland. It's another one's like, food is art. So is coffee. So is wine. So is film or painting or whatever. That's why I say artists, and I say that in a broad way. Like there's so many different types of artists, and there's such good coffee here. It's crazy. I'm such a snob when it comes to coffee or like food anymore or anything like that. It's like, I can't enjoy myself. It needs to be better. Not true, but kind of true.
Is there like a Portland meal? Like something that you're like this, like Wisconsin has cheese curds, right? Chicago is known for steaks. What is Portland? What's their thing?
What is a Portland meal? I mean, I tell you what, the vegans are taking over. They're taking over big time. There's so many like little vegan spots, right? But you can make anything taste like anything nowadays, which is kind of weird to me. But I honestly, a Portland meal could be anything, because you have the food carts and there's so many different choices inside the food carts. You go with your friend to go get some food. You go to a food cart and they're over there getting their thing at that food cart, and I'm over here doing whatever over here. You know, you can. That's it. There. I don't know. I wouldn't say there is a Portland meal because there's so many different things to get. You know, they do the thing for sure. They do it right.
I love it. I love it. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. So before we hop off, is there anything else that we should know for anybody that is out there thinking about moving to Portland? Is there a lot of public transportation, or is biking kind of the way to get around?
Oh, we have one of the best public transportations in the nation by far, for sure. And that includes biking, right? Because it's pretty safe. I mean, I can't imagine biking in New York or LA. You know, LA especially. No, it's just like I'm gonna die today. Like that's not a thing. I'm not into it. But here it's safe. There's an understanding that there's bicyclists on the road with you. We share the road. There's a great public transit system. There's the Max. You can get around. You can get around real easy, and on the cheap, yo.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it. So it really does make me think of like Brooklyn. Yeah,
I know. That's the thing. Like it does. Going into Brooklyn, and you know, I heard things growing up about Brooklyn and all that, and it looks like it's changed a lot, but from what I think I know, right? But it's totally like Brooklyn. It really is. It's just the buildings are a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's super hip, super cool. You can get anything, you know, whatever you want. I'm gonna go grab this today. You know, I can walk down the street from my house, and there's 2 food carts right down there. You know, a Lebanese family food cart, and some guy selling hot dogs, which I think is the funniest thing in the world.
That's so New York.
Yeah, exactly. You know, then there's the wheat shop right there, or you know, they're all together. You know, it's you can get anything in a close proximity. You know, in this area in Portland, like it's like I said, in West, and it's suburbia. You can there's nice restaurants and stuff, but it's nothing like this. You have to dig for them. I mean, one of the best sushi places in Portland is over there, like deep in Hillsborough, which is, well, it's west. It's west, but it's a little house. It's in downtown Hillsborough. You wouldn't even know it's there unless you know it's there. But a lot of people know about it because it's amazing. They'll have you like sample the stuff and then make it all. Like it's some of the best sushi I've ever eaten in my life. Just killer and good experience too, because they're all a Japanese family and they do it right in front of you. And they're like, oh, would you try this? And they'll just make it for you and go just something new. It's so cool. I love it. So there is little gyms over there, but they're a little bit harder to find for sure.
Yeah.
I could talk about that too, but yeah, there's definitely some growth in Hillsborough and those areas out in the West. It's becoming cooler out there too. Cooler, you know, for my version of cool. I like the little hip spots where you can grab something weird to eat and go walk around, you know, like it's cool. I like it. They're doing it over there. I like it.
There you go. Oh, that's so cool. And you've lived there your whole life?
Pretty much, yeah. Like I said, I moved. I was a door-to-door salesman traveling for 8 years, and did that for a while, and then came back because my family's here, right? And it's Portland. It was, you know, back then it was. I mean, it's not horror. Like once again, it's not horrific. It definitely took a jump up in rentals and the amount of money it takes to live here. That's kind of common whenever it's a place that is attractive and people want to go to. It's, of course, they're going to raise rents and whatnot because investors do exist. But yeah, I came back and it was cheap to live. And I grew up in the country in Southeast Portland, right? 7 acres, geese, goats, the whole thing. No like real animals that you could get milk from or anything, or like getting a goose egg was dangerous. but like we had weird animals like doves and peacocks and stuff. But yeah, I lived in the country and it was awesome. So yeah, I came back to that for a while. And I live a little bit inner city, but not really inner city. You know, it's a nice lifestyle. And yeah, I've lived here for quite a long time. I took a break and then I came back. It was a nice thing to come back to.
Well, hello, PBR. I get it. Every time I go back to Wisconsin, I'm like, give me the goods.
It's so refreshing.
I love it. Perfect. Well, listen, what else should we know?
I don't know. I like to talk.
Well, I feel like everybody out there should know that I actually put somebody in touch with him, and I'm pretty sure that person now likes him more than me. So, watch your referrals going to.
He will take your friends.
I love it. No, but that's
I'll
great.
give them back, though. I'll give them back.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, Danielle, I'm going to make sure that your information is in this. So if anybody has questions about Portland, is thinking about moving there, please reach out. And do you maybe want to just say the other areas that you work as well?
Yeah, I was actually thinking that because Portland's Portland. I think a lot of people know about Portland. I mean, there's TV shows about it, right? Like Portlandia and whatever. But Vancouver across the bridge it's been growing, and the waterfront area is really cool now. They got a lot of little fancy restaurants out there, and the wineries are like, when you get out of Hillsborough, and Hillsborough is where Intel's at, right? But when you get out past Hillsborough and Sherwood and into the kind of country, you have a true wine country out there. Like really good wine. Oh yeah. There's so much wine in the Northwest in general. It's crazy. And so in Vancouver, we have a little bit of that too now, which is across the bridge. Columbia, I think of the Columbia River is the 5th largest river in the U.S. And once you cross that, you're in Washington, right? And it's just a hop, skip, and a jump from Portland. But Vancouver is becoming really cool too. And it's not there yet, but it's getting there. So people that want to buy houses a little bit cheaper property tax, it's a great place to buy. Because it's just most likely, can't say for sure, but most likely it'll appreciate well, is what I'm thinking, right? Because it's more up and coming in Portland, because Portland has kind of reached a limit, and it's not growing. The rental, it's what you pay is what you pay now. There's no great increase. I think it's going to happen up in Vancouver though, because people are starting to move up there.
So give me a breakdown. I want to get an apartment, vertical living. I want to get a home in Vancouver. How much land am I going to get? Like, what's the lot size? What's the home size? How many bedrooms? And what am I going to pay on average? Just like
it kind of depends on where you're moving, I guess. I mean, as far as lot size, I mean, you'd have a good lot size, 5,000 plus square feet. It's a good lot size. But like I said, it depends on where you're moving. I work with a lot of builders up there, and so their lot sizes are about that. You get lucky. Huh?
And how big are the homes?
The home up there, but 2,000 square feet isn't weird. It's a good size home. Yeah, it's a good size home. You get more bang for your buck up there. You really do, because it hasn't quite hit that thing where people want to move to Vancouver, right? But it's right there. They're starting to have a bunch of cool little restaurants, a little night scene. It's a little bit more like St. John's, a little bit more like a community up there, right? It's a small town feel, whereas this used to feel like a small town, Portland, but now it's definitely a city, right? We're burgeoning and growing into a city, whereas like Vancouver's kind of like, okay, I guess we'll do that too, population, so it goes. So it's kind of cool up there.
What am I going to pay for that home?
Huh?
What would I pay for that home? 2,000 square feet.
About the same. You pay if you're getting one like that, you're paying like probably like $380 for a good size house.
Okay.
Somewhere around there. Is that average? No, I think the average is probably lower than that. I just don't have the numbers in front of me, right?
Yeah.
But you could get a good amount of house for. I think that's pretty realistic. Those numbers, a good amount of house for that price, which is great. Plus you have some land, a little bit, something to do with. Get a raised bed for gardening or whatever. Chicken coop, you can do that. Like whatever. It's a room for the dog. Kids or whatever. You have that little back area and the little front area. Everyone uses their backyards. They got the fire pits here and all that. It's a little chill out zone.
I love good fire pit. Oh, on that note, how cold does it get there in the winter?
It's temperate. It's temperate all year. It doesn't get too hot. Yeah, sure. We could have a couple of days of like 90, 100, right? And in the winter, it may or may not snow. But
really?
Yeah. We don't have seasons like you do or like most places do. I mean, it's drizzle, 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 drizzle. Oh, with magical orb in the sky, drizzle, 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 orb. Like that's the kind of the way it goes. It's gray here a lot. It's not as bad as Seattle. Seattle rains.
Yeah.
Because they're right next to the Olympic Peninsula and all that, so they see a lot more of that.
Yeah.
We're a little bit more inland.
Okay. Okay, so that's good to know. All right, so Vancouver, one of the next up and coming spots. Sounds
Seriously,
good.
near downtown, like near the waterfront. That's where I mean, there's a lot of businesses over there, but once you get out to the houses around there, it's a pretty cool little area. Ridgefield up above Vancouver is definitely up and coming. That spot's it's pretty affluent people living up there. Really cool houses, but it used to be more affluent. Like it was kind of an area where you wouldn't see a lot of people moving to, but now they're doing a lot of new builds up there, so you see a lot of families moving up there. And so that's definitely one of the areas. Camas is incredible, and that's not Vancouver per se. These places aren't Vancouver, but if you go east on 14, so you got Vancouver right here. You go east, next city over is Camas, and Camas is just super cool. The breweries, everything else. That's another thing. Yeah, we got a lot of breweries in Portland and Vancouver, and Vancouver didn't have that before. They didn't have all the coffee shops and breweries, and now they do. And they that and outlying areas. Ridgefield is like more like the west side of Portland, where it's where you go to settle down, have the family, right? Suburbia, but it's nice up there. And then Vancouver near the waterfront, everything else is just it's up and coming. It's a lot of cool businesses popping up. And then when you get to over to Camas and stuff, like you're looking at like breweries and hiking and once again, like more affluent people are buying houses out there too. But you can get a little like old farmhouse that someone took really good care of on like half an acre out there, and it's not too much. It's like around 400,000 or so. You know, if you get it at the right time, like there's really really cool houses out there. You know, I love that stuff. It's weird floor plans when you get into the old ones, but yeah, they're cool.
Where do you think the luxury market price point starts? Like what would be considered luxury?
Oh, here?
Yeah.
700,000 or so, right? But that's here. So if you go into the West Hills, you're looking at houses like they're millions over there for sure. Vancouver, I'd say it's about the same. About the same. We might be 800,000 for luxury out here, but I don't think it's that high, honestly. I think our price points are low enough. I mean, our median price point in Southeast is 320, 350 median. So yeah, 700,000 is even stretching it for what luxury would be, right?
So interesting.
It's not when you go Lake Oswego, West Hills, some of those areas, yeah, you're looking at millions for sure.
And what makes it so those areas, is it more just where it's placed in the hills by the river? That's what's making it luxury.
Yeah. Lake Oswego is beautiful. They have their own little their own little community. Lake Oswego and West Lynn they're known as affluent communities. The West Hills are known as, and it's all placement. It's all placement. Truly is.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, Danielle, thank you so much for your time.
Good to see you.
You as well. And again, anybody, if you are looking for a great agent to be in touch with in Vancouver, but not in Canada, we got to make sure Washington or Portland, please reach out to him.